This is our 1972 C10 pickup truck. Don't know a whole lot about the truck. A friend of ours was traded a vehicle for it, was on his way home, posted on Facebook that he recently traded for the truck. I sent him a message, said if you're going to sell the truck, I'm interested in the truck. Made a deal. He actually agreed to bring it down to us. So we've had it about a week now. Pretty good solid truck. Originally a 307 with a 3 on the tree. Now has a 350 in it as far as I can tell, with a Muncie 4-speed. It's got a 5.6 drop on it already. It's had the 20s added to it. Pretty good old truck with some patina in the paint, as they call it. We'll probably end up putting a paint job on it. I think a pretty solid body overall. Little surface rust around the drip rails. And then if you guys know anything about these trucks, they all have rot in the same place. Cab corners, rockers. Inner rockers actually look pretty good. Bedsides look decent, but you never know what somebody hid underneath the paint. Drum brakes in the back, disc brakes in the front. Some extra trim pieces came with the truck. A little bit of rust here in the bed. One great thing about these trucks is you can buy every single piece and part for these trucks. All the sheet metal, make nice patch panels for them. Mirror's got to go. The cab corner and the rocker on this side's a little bit worse than the other side. Bottoms of the doors look decent. Interior wise, looks like a pretty stock original truck, as you would expect for a 50-plus-year-old truck. Interior's pretty whipped. Again, all this stuff is easily purchased and replaced, so inner rockers and floor extensions look actually pretty good, but you don't know what's underneath the paint. Bottom of the door on this side, not terrible. Let's see what we uncover. Got a vinyl mat on the floor. Floors look good from underneath. Original dash. Clearly original steering wheel, which is whipped. What I assume is the original bench seat. Kind of difficult to find the stock color for this, but it looks like it was medium blue. At some point the truck's had a gas tank put in it. Gas tank looks brand new, still behind the seat. Cab looks good. I think at some point a mouse visited. Got some of the foam out of the seat. Haven't found any critters in it yet. The other side again looks pretty good. Same condition on the door panels. Bottom of the door on this side looks a little better. Floor extensions look pretty good. I was kind of surprised to see that the dash in this has actually not been cut. So it's still got a 2-knob radio in here. We'll try to figure out what to do with that. Of course the dash pad's cracked. Muncie 4-speed with a bench shifter. Looks pretty original and stock. Once we get some bucket seats in it, we'll decide what to do with the shifter. It has a Muncie 4-speed with a 411 diff, so the truck will do about 65 miles an hour on the highway at pretty high RPM. Under the hood's a 350. Don't really know much about the engine. Seems to run okay. Headers on it. No idea what kind of carburetor's on it. Haven't taken any of that stuff apart. Dual master cylinder. power brakes, power steering. Wiring looks like it's 50 years old. Old single core radiator. Let's see how thin that radiator is. Doesn't seem to overheat, but again, I haven't driven it much. A lot of interesting projects coming for this one. Has an Auga horn that actually works. Rust in the usual places. Underneath the battery tray. I assume the bottom of the core support. Hood actually looks really good. Not rusted through, not too rusty. No idea how much of the lighting works. We'll get it up on the lift and get a good look underneath it. In the engine bay and under the dash is where we normally see the wiring has really taken a beating. Here's where the harness comes out. You saw this on the other side. Again, this truck not really too bad compared to what we normally see. Got some wire nuts, some tubes. These yellow barrels are pretty common for people to use. All this wiring inside the fender well up to the headlights. Come over to the battery side. Looks like we got a paper towel jammed down in there for something. Again, from a wiring perspective, not horrible, but if you see the condition of some of this stuff, you're going to end up with a modern Gen 5 engine in this truck. Modern air conditioning, a stereo, so you really want to bring the entire system up to what a modern wiring system would be. So a lot higher amperage alternator you're going to have. I don't know how many amps this alternator is, probably somewhere around 50 to 70. The new alternator on our L8T truck engine will be at least 130 amps. You just want to make sure all this 50-year-old wiring is up to the task, and it usually isn't. You'll see any of the projects that we build here at BGMS Garage always get new wiring harnesses. It's just a safe way to go. Here's a perfect example of why the wiring gets stripped out of these vehicles. At some point, someone wired in this aftermarket Auga horn, and they have run the hot wire right here through the radiator support. There's no grommet on this. This is a 12-volt hot wire that goes right over here to the distribution block and runs right across this metal rusty radiator with no grommet. Will it rub through? I don't know. Not gonna take a chance. Same thing over here on this side. You've got wires here that are poked through the radiator. I don't even know what this wire is for, but this wire is laying here. Don't know if it's connected or not. Again, we don't take a chance. Strip all the old wiring out of the vehicle, start with new. These wires are pinched. I can't even move them. They're pinched between the radiator and the core support right here. Moving underneath the truck. More loose wires. Don't know what that hooks to. Definitely not the worst I've seen. But we don't take any chances with wiring. You see this wiring comes down. I assume this is part of the factory wiring. As we move back down the frame rail, at some point somebody decided they didn't like what they had, and they got what looks like a trailer harness and connected it to the wiring and ran new trailer wiring to the back, and then apparently back into the original wiring, which I assume goes to the taillights and the license plates. license plate lights. Quite honestly, I have no idea if the tail lights work, anything along those lines. I don't worry too much about it because I know we're gonna end up rewiring the truck. So new harness, everything new. We know where it's run, we know where the grounds are. No problems.